Welcome back, everybody, to this slightly different version of the show. We normally review plugins and software, but we'll review anything. And today, as you might have gathered, we're looking at something pretty special. We're looking at the hardware version of the SPL Iron. Let's find out. Is it? So yeah, the SPL Iron, it's kind of become a bit of a top of the tree, best of the best mastering compressor. People aspire to own one of these things. And obviously the plugin's been out for a while, so people can get a taste of what this thing does. And I'm well aware that lots of people are like, I'm not sure about it. You know, I feel people pick other software versions of compressors over the Iron quite often because I think it's just not understanding what it's doing or what it's supposed to do. So let's have a look at it, but we're not just going to look at it and review it. We're going to put it up against the plugin. We're going to put it up against a whole bunch of compressors and in a blind test and see if anyone can pick it out. And then right at the end, as usual, we'll do a full test. You can listen to it doing its thing. Okay, so let's start by going through it. Let's have a look at it. I got the red one. I just like bright colours, hence the white monitors and the red SPL Iron. Why not? There's too much black stuff in studios already, so red it is. As you can see, it's a pretty stunning piece of hardware. It's built like a tank. This thing, no expense spared in the construction of it. It's incredibly heavy, well made. The front panel is very thick. All the knobs are very well sort of made, and they've got a very definite click. It's very switchable, so it's recallable. Every single parameter very easily recallable because it's like really decent clunky switches. You can see obviously it's kind of defined by the two VU meters and the two big threshold knobs. It's really nice to have it laid out in such an easy way to use. However, when you have it in linked mode, use the little link switch in the middle, you can control the whole thing from the right hand side, which is weird, right? Normally it's the left hand side when you're controlling a stereo unit, but SPL have done it the other way around. It's the right hand side, so keep an eye on that in the demo and stuff, because I'll be adjusting the right and ignoring the left, because unless you're changing the input and the output, they're the only things that need to be set on both. Everything else can be controlled from the right. Anyway, let's go through it. Let's start in the middle. So we've got the switch right in the middle there, which in the center is bypass. And if you push it up, that gives you air bass mode. So what's air bass mode? It's basically just a push in the high and a push in the low. It's a bit like a smiley face. It's not massively subtle, but it is really smooth. And although your master or your mix, whatever you're working on, should really have been dealt with by now, if there's anything that severe wrong with it, you do quite often get sent flat mixes that need a bit of a smiley face. That's a good place to do it as any. So that's what that does. If you then push it to the down position, it says tape roll off. And this is sort of the opposite. It's basically a little bit of that. And it just takes the real highs and the real lows out. I'm not sure that alone makes it sound like it's on tape, but it's a start. It's interesting. You really notice it when you flick directly from air bass mode to tape roll off mode, because it is the opposite. If you go from just bypass, it's a bit more subtle. We've then got the interval control, which is an auto interval control, and basically you switch it on with a little switch, and then the dial sets how long between intervals between it going into bypass and coming out of bypass. And the reason it's there, it's designed so that when you're working on a master, because you're doing quite subtle stuff with one of these, you want to be able to hear what it's doing. So you set that going, you sit back and you have a listen and you try and work out if it's better or worse when it's, when it's working rather than in bypass. Doesn't apply to lots of people because these days studios are just better set up. So, in the olden days that might have been out of reach somewhere in a bit of an awkward place. Mine's right in the sweet spot. I don't have to sit somewhere else to check my mixes and my masters, so it's easy enough just to poke that myself on the old bypass buttons, which are right underneath that. The two big yellow bypass buttons, can't miss. When they're lit, it's on. When they're not, it's not. Okay, obviously we've got the big threshold control in the middle and the big VU gain reduction meter above that. We've then top left got the attack. All the way to the left is fastest, all the way to the right is slowest. Below that we've got release, same again, fast all the way to the left, slow all the way to the right. Then over here we've got the rectifier. What is the rectifier? So basically it's how many have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different circuits which affect the attack and release controls. They affect the timing of the attack and release and slightly change the sound as well. It's like a slightly different vibe on each setting. The one that stands out is LED. LED is a bit different because it's the slowest attack settings and the slowest release settings. And it's best to think of it as like an easy mode. When it's set in LED mode, it's really hard. As long as you're not getting more than a couple of dB of gain reduction, it's really hard to get it wrong. It will make everything sound better. It's like a cheat mode, LED. All the others give you slightly different speeds. Some of the germanium ones give you really fast, like 0.1 millisecond attacks and things, which, you know, might be useful for some things. But basically, you set your rectifier, then you set your attack and release, and then, you know, if you're not getting what you want, you go back to the rectifier and change it, and it's a pretty simple way of working, really. You've then got the VU switch between gain reduction and also output, and a +10. You've then got your sidechain EQs. So there's an off setting, so you don't have to have any. There's 4 different ones, and then there's an external setting, which means there's a socket on the back of it. You can trigger it with an external sidechain. The interesting thing about the sidechain EQs is that it's not just a selection of high pass kind of situations. They're all very different sets of curves. If you look them up in the manual, they're all completely different, and they push different frequencies into this compressor to trigger it. So again, between that, the rectifier and attack and release, you can do a lot of different stuff with this compressor. Down at the bottom here, we've got the input and output. When they're set to 0 on the switches, they don't do anything. If you set them to minus, it's how much they're taking away. If they're set to plus, it's how much gain they're adding. That's almost it. And then we've got the tube bias switch, which is selectable between low, medium and high. So the iron is a variable bias tube comp, so Varimu, a lot of people call them, and it works on tube bias. That's kind of how the compression works. There's a whole bunch of tubes in these things. And that affects the bias of the tube. So although it's quite subtle, the more you drive into it and the more you make it work, the more gain reduction you're getting, the more the tube bias will affect the sound. So again, it just gives you another option to get slightly different flavor and slightly different reaction out of this compressor. And that is about it. How does it sound? It sounds incredibly transparent. That's kind of the whole point of it, is that it's not a really grabby compressor. It's not a really vibey compressor. It's just a really, really good compressor. It evens off the peaks in your song so smoothly, you kind of have to check that it's on sometimes. Hence the point of the auto bypass, is just to make sure it's doing something, because someone asked me the other day, said, what's it doing? You know, why would you have this? What's the point of it? Why would you spend so much money on it? And the best way to describe it is like mastering. Sort of one of the main jobs of mastering is to make a piece of music sound great on everything that it's played on. But sometimes it's played on some truly terrible speakers, which can't do it justice. And what mastering often is doing, and especially a compressor at this point, is evening out those transients so that they still sound good without having to make cheap speakers work too hard. You're taking some work out of some shitty speakers. That's basically what it's doing. And it's just giving you that incredible confidence that this is going to sound awesome on everything you play it on. It's a beautiful piece of kit. Very transparent, very smooth. Demo, obviously there's no demo. I mean, there are some stores out there that might let you demo one if you have a good relationship with them, or otherwise you're going to have to go to a store, or you're going to have to watch this demo, and I'm sure there's plenty of others online. Price. It's held pretty solid. This came out in about 2015, I think, the iron, and it's been kind of premium priced ever since then. It's around the $5,000 mark. You might get one for 4 something, but it's around the $5,000 mark. So not particularly cheap, but it's a beautiful piece of kit, and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna add a lot to your mastering chain. So I can understand the price. What else should I mention? It runs on 120 volt technology, which SBL have made a big thing about. It's basically, it gives the audio path an increased amount of headroom to work in. It's kind of taking circuitry to like the next level. You just want in mastering, you want the absolute cleanest signal path possible, and that's what that enables to happen. It's designed with the tubes to run in parallel, so it's the whole thing is being designed like by a genius to be smooth and incredibly clean, lovely sounding thing. Anyway, that's enough of me banging on about how much I like it. Let's give it a star rate. It's got to be 5. It is a lot of money, but it is worth that money. It sounds fantastic. There's a possibility for getting a lot of different sounds out of it, although the job is always kind of the same. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can run vocals through this, you can stick bass through it, guitars, you can stick it on a bus. It doesn't have to be just a mastering compressor. It excels at that, but because it's so good at that, it's pretty damn good at everything else. I can't fault it. It's got to be 5 stars all the way. Right, let's get into testing this thing out. First of all, let's put it up against the Iron plugin. Let's have a listen to that. So there you go, the Iron versus the Iron. What did you think was what? Could you tell? I'm going to give you the results straight away. I'm not going to make you wait. But for me, the difference is really subtle. I would say the plugin is 97.5% of the way there. And the way I think of it is that years ago, I was mixing an album on an SSL using the SSL bus compressor, the real one, in the desk. And I was having to go and work in my studio on revisions, and then I'd be back into the studio again the next day. So I was flipping between working at home and working in this SSL studio. And I became really aware of how different the bus compressor plugin sounded. I was using the Waves SSL bus compressor. It was close, but it wasn't quite there. And I realised there was 2 plugins I could add to the end of that, which made it sound pretty much damn near identical. It needed a little bit of help. I would say the plug-in version of the Iron is the same. It's so close. But what it's missing is a little bit of the 3D depth that you only get from the hardware. It's hard to describe it. I presume it's something to do with the analog circuit. It's not openness. I hate that word, openness. Someone said the other day that they thought open meant a real width in the high end. And I like that description, but I think with this, it's not that. It's a depth to the sound, which is subtle, but it's there. Anyway, let's give you the results right now. So there you go. Who guessed it? It's pretty subtle, right? It's close, but you can hear it. Okay, interesting. Now let's put it up against some other compressors. I think that's probably going to be something that would be quite interesting. Now, what am I going to put it up against? Well, let's get pretty varied. So first of all, let's put the Brainworks iron plugin in the mix. Let's have that in there. I've got a GainLab Dictator over there, which is also a very new mastering compressor. So let's get that in the mix. So there you go. Dictator's in there. The AMEC mastering compressor. I love the AMEC mastering compressor. It's a very different kind of thing, but let's get that in the mix. So that's in there too. What else can we put up against it? I know, this is an interesting one. What about the Marg Magnum K compressor? It's, again, quite different, but it can do so much. So, yeah, that can go in the blind test. The other thing we're going to put in the blind test is the brand new Pulsar Modular P19 Igloo. It's a very full-featured compressor, so I thought, you know what? Why not? Let's whack it in there. And also, why not the Kive X-Bus? We've been banging on about how good that is for a while now. I'm a big fan of it, so let's put it up against that too. There you go. So that's going to be our shootout. It's going to be a complete blind test. I'm going to run it now, and then I'll give you the results in a minute. Right, let's have it. Well, there we go. Let's get on with that. That's tricky, isn't it? There's some obvious ones there which I think are clearly different to others, but could anyone tell immediately which was which, or which was best, or doing the best job? Now, I kind of made them all sound as similar as I could. I didn't spend ages on it, but I got them all roughly sounding the same and then level matched them. That was it. If I really wanted to dive into it, each of them I could have made sound better at what they were doing, but that wasn't the point of the exercise. It was just to see if anyone could notice a difference and whether a $5,000 bit of hardware sounds significantly better than a $2,000 bit of hardware or a 50 quid plugin. So do you want the results? Should we do the results? Let's do the results. Right. I need the bins on for this because it's written small. Okay, number one was the AMEC mastering compressor. I still think that thing sounds phenomenal all the time. Number two was the Kive X-Bus. Number three was the Pulsar Modular P19 Igloo. Number four was the Marg Magnum K. Number five was the SPL Iron Hardware. Number five was the real deal. Number 6 was completely clean. No compression at all. Anyone spot that? Number 7 was the Dictator hardware. I think that sounds amazing, that compressor. I've been using it for years. Still love it. It's not going anywhere. And finally, number 8 was the SPL Iron plugin. Who could hear the difference between 8 and 5? Was it the same as the previous test where it's just the two of them? Tricky, eh? There you go. That was the blind test. So finally, we have just got the main test of the hardware itself, which is coming up at the end. But before that, couple of little things I wanted to mention. First of all, I thought I'd mention that Plugin Alliance have just released the Elysia Alpha Comp Mark II, which is basically identical to Mark 1, but with the usual Brainworks extra stuff down the bottom. And it's now scalable, which we asked for when we reviewed it, a month ago, something like that. So if that helped prompt that happen, excellent work. Well done, Plugin Alliance. If it didn't, well, we just got lucky and got what we wanted. Anyway, I'm not going to review it again because it's pretty much the same. I don't think there's any difference. I think it's just a new GUI and the extra stuff along the bottom. Anyway, that was all. So, like the channel if you could be so kind, and maybe subscribe. We've just gone over 9,000 subscribers, so thanks very much for that. It'd be really good to get to 10 by sort of the middle of the summer sometime. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, do. A lot of you already have, really appreciate that. But yeah, if you haven't hit subscribe, really helps the channel a lot. What else have we got? We have got the Instagram channel Studio Life 101. We have got the website where we've got our top 5 plugins. That's had a refresh recently. There's a whole bunch of courses, including my mastering course and my new mixing course, and there's a compression course, a whole bunch of other stuff. Go and have a look. And that's about it. I will see you soon. Enjoy the test. Adios.
You call